What is stopping you? I know that you have looked over your life. You're looking at some situations that you're facing right now. You're looking at the promises that the Lord has made you, and you're like, okay, there's something going on because things are not coming into fruition or coming to pass like they're supposed to be, and like what you've been expecting and looking forward to, right? Well, it's time to do some introspection. That means it's time to delve deep into our heart and in our mind and psyche to find out what is stopping us, because it does us no good to constantly point out into the outer part of us and casting blame on whatever and whoever may be preventing you or stopping you from walking fully into what the Lord has promised you. We're going to do some introflexion today. Introspection, not flexion. It's pretty much the same thing, right? But we're going to do that today. And so the title of this is The Beaver Effect. What is stopping you? And we're going to focus on, uh, how beavers build dams. So we're going to focus on that. But we're going to go to the book of Esther. Now, when I give you these chapters, because these are chapters, and we are not going to read all the chapters, we're probably not going to even read it because I'm going to give you a synopsis of everything, because we are covering three different chapters, whole chapters, not just parts of them, but whole. You have to read from beginning verse 1 to the last verse of each chapter to understand the story and to focus on what we're going to be talking about today. So Esther, the book of Esther, we're coming from chapter 4, chapter 5, and chapter 7. I encourage you, I implore you to read it on your own. Don't just gloss over it or take what I say for word as bond. Read the word for yourself. Get an understanding in lieu of what I talk about today. Because what started off as something personal and business with me is is something that can be applied to any area of our lives, in any aspect, okay? And in any area. So the book of Esther, the parts that we're going to focus on again are chapters 4, 5, and 7. So those are three different chapters. Read them on your own. But I'm going to give you a small synopsis of what this covers. So one of the things, the questions was when um, I asked the Lord these questions, he told me, I asked him to give me um, someone in the Bible that I can reference this to. Like, what is stopping me? What's going on? What is stopping me? And so he gave me the book of Esther as I was praying and reflecting on some things, and he gave me the book of Esther. So Esther, and I was like, well, Lord, and I'm being transparent, y'all know me. And so I was like, okay, Lord, you sure? Like Esther, like stopping her, what, I mean, like, homegirl was already queen, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's already living queen status. So what we talking about? But he was like, hey, I'm gonna show you some stuff. Okay. And he did, and did. So the book of Esther, starting in chapter 4, is when Mordecai found out about the decree that Haman had put in place, and that he put out, that he requested for the king to back him up on. Like, he had an idea about the Jews because he didn't like Mordecai, all of that kind of stuff, and he wanted to annihilate the Jews. So he went to the king and was like, "Hey, these people, they don't vibe with you. They ain't rocking with you. They got their own God, and you are not gonna come before their God." So he was dealing with the king's ego. He was dealing with the king's pride, and so he was like, "Well, they ain't vibing with you." You know what I'm saying? They ain't studying you because they got a God they listen to, and you ain't it, bro. Like, that's how he did it. He was like, "So how about this? how about this? Just hear me out. What if we go ahead and annihilate them? You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just get rid of them because you need a kingdom that's going to honor you. Like, you just got rid of your wife Vashti, because she wasn't vibing with you, right? So why you gonna rock with some people with with a whole nation that ain't vibing with you? So that's how he presented it to him. I'm, modernizing that thing for y'all, but that's how he, put it to him. And so the king was like, you know what? Yeah, that's what's up. Like, nah, if you're gonna be in my kingdom, you gonna rock with me, or you got to go. So yeah, I got you. Hey, here's my signet on my ring. Bam. Put out a decree. Let's go, and put out the dates and da da da. You put it all together, but I got your back. Thank you for having mine, bro. They vibe right. So that's how pretty much it went before chapter 4. And so Mordecai got wind of it because the decree had went out, right? And so he's wailing in front of the king's gates, and he's in sackcloth and ash, and he's crying out, and Esther's people was like, hey, your uncle out there wilding, he out there wilding out. You may want to go handle that before something happened to him. All right, like, we looking out for you, girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, we looking out for your peoples. Like, you gonna have to get him. And so, like, she sent stuff out, like gave him some clothes, and gave him some clothes to put on and stuff like that. Like, hey, don't be out here messing up my flow, messing up my gig. Like, what you doing? Like, is something going on? Like, holler at me. Talk to me. I'm your niece. I got you. What's up? But why you telling me what's up? Go ahead and put on them clothes. Get up out that sackcloth and ash, and you know stop all that wailing out there. You wilding, bro. Like, you wilding. So but Mordecai was like, bump that. He was like, no, we got some for real stuff going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you can keep them clothes, take them clothes back. No, this is what's up. You want to know what's up? I'm finna tell you what's up, and you ain't finna stop me with what I'm doing. And so, like, he went back, and Esther's people had told her what he said. And so she sent back out something. She was like, I mean, I hear you, but I can't hear you right now, because like, it's law that if I show up in front of the king and he ain't requesting me, like, get this, he ain't even hollered at me for the past 30 days. So if I go up in there, he gonna kill me, right? Because that's the law. Like, I can't just roll up in front. He my husband and all, but I can't just roll up in there like that. And so Mordecai was like, all right, then, bet that, sis. Bet that. But understand this, that don't think you gonna escape what's finna happen just because you queen, just because you got queen status. Don't think that it ain't gonna hit you. Don't think that you gonna get by this. Don't think that you gonna pass through, because you and your daddy's household gonna be taken care of. Like, they gonna get you too. So he was like, but who knows, maybe the Lord put you in the king in this castle, in this kingdom, for such a time as this, because he saw what was coming, and he needed one of us up in there. Like hey, you got a choice to make. So then Esther was like, okay, cool. She was like, all right, cool. She was like, okay, I don't know why I was tripping. I got you. I ain't forgot where I came from. I got you. So she was like, okay, well, hey, I'm going to fast. Me and my people in here going to fast. And I need all of y'all to fast out there for me, because it's my life. You know what I'm saying? That y'all are putting on the line. Like, I understand about y'all, but shoot, are y'all looking for me to die? Like, y'all going to have to go before the throne of God to, cover and protect me too now, because this is my life too now. Now, I hear you, but either way it goes, this is my life. You know what I'm saying? So, based on that, like, he was like, bet that, all right, so let me go get this fast going. Hey, you go do what you do, and da 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 blah scoop scoop. So after the fast, Esther was like, all right, well, let me go ahead and let me look good for my king. Let me, do what I was doing before I made queen. Let me get adorned and all this other kind of stuff. So she was there, and she was, standing there, and he, in a little corner, like, she there, she seen, but she like, just not, she seen, but she ain't seen, you know what I'm saying? Like, she like, okay, but he see her, the king see her, and he like, hey, babe, what's up? Like, hey, y'all tripping, man. Hey, get behind me. That's my wife right there. Hey, that's my woman. You know what I'm saying? And she like, my man, that's my man, my man, my man. So yeah, she went up in there because he put out the scepter. And in the law, as long as he puts out the golden scepter, and you know that person's life is saved. So she laid her hands upon the golden scepter, and she was like, my man, my man, my man. He heard me. So he was like, hey, boo, what you want? What's going on? Like, you showing up here now. You know the law, but what you need, but regardless, I got you. Whatever you want, even half the kingdom, shoot, you can have that. That. Like, he putting on his game. And so she was like, okay, cool. She was like, well, hey, bet this. How about you and Haman meet me at the banquet tomorrow, and then I'll tell you what I want, right? And so and so no, she said before that, because it happened twice. So she said, hey, meet me at a banquet. I'm going to have a banquet for you. Just come on out there. Da da da, blah, scoop, scoop. And she was like, so when they got out there, she was like, hey, have Haman come. I request Haman, have Haman come, and we going to, come to the dinner banquet and all that. And I'm going to let you know what's what. All right. And so he was like, all right, now, hey, hey, this is my time to come on now. What's up? So the next at the banquet, the next time, he was like, all right, now, hey, what you want? I ain't gonna keep asking you what you want. And so she was like, hey, she said, check it. What I want is my life. And he like, huh? He like, wait a minute, what you mean? What I want is my life, my people's life, and da 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 da. And there's a proclamation that you signed off on now. Your signet ring is on this now. So you co-signing what's going on. You signing what's going on. And he like, what are you talking about? And she was like, hey, your dude Haman right here. He was like, your life. He was like, oh no. He was like, hey, who threatening you? Who threatening you? He was like, nah, who threatening you? She was like, hey, it's your dude over here, Haman. And so he like, hold up. And so she was like, yeah, he done put out this proclamation that you signed off on. And so the king left. He left and went into the palace garden, and he was sitting there, he had to wrap his mind around, like, my woman or my main man, my right hand, what's going on? So he's sitting up in there, and he thinking, he thinking, and he like, I think this dude done set me up to take out my wife. Like, he had to go wrap his mind around that. And so while he was out in the palace garden, you had old dude over here, Haman, begging for his life. And, pretty much like when the king, he was like, about ready to assault homegirl. And the king came back, and he was like, you gonna assault my wife in front of my face? Right here in my king? Oh, you got to go. Bro, bet that. Hey, y'all get him. He got his goons goons got him up there. It's like, hey, check this. He got some gallows set up for and at his home, I guess, for somebody, I don't know, but he got some gallows set up. He was like, oh, king said, okay, bet that. All right, hang him on them same gallows he built. Yeah. So like, he's like, hey, get that goon work going, right? So they doing what they doing. And Esther made it through alive, da da da, blah, scoop, scoop. So that's pretty much the premise of the story, right? And so the thing is what was stopping her? Because there was something that God wanted her to do, but he had not revealed that to her yet. He revealed it to Mordecai first. And so, but when it was revealed to her, she was like, I don't know, y'all, this is my life, bro. Like, I get that, but nah. So um so fear and the law was stopping her. That was the Beaver Effect for her, because she had to assess, hey, we're talking about my life. We're talking about breaking the law. We're talking about, um, you know, me possibly dying based on what y'all talking about, and y'all still gonna die. So, I don't know. Like this, we, I don't know. This is y'all put me in between a rock and a hard place, and so, um, like that was everything with that as far as what was stopping her. So let's stop right there for a minute, okay? Because we saw what came after that, right? Quick synopsis: the king canceled that decree. Um, he put Mordecai. He put Mordecai up in Haman's place, and Haman and his whole family got wiped out. Right? They got knocked off. So he put Mordecai in Haman's place, and Queen, she was good, and all of that. So after everything happened, and she moved in what the Lord told her to move in, then that's when the wind came, like the WIN. The wind came for them, and they were good. Everything started playing out, and then like Mordecai got placed in a higher position, because he protected the king. Now that's in chapter 6. Start looking in chapter 6. You read that, but there were some things that transpired before chapter 6 for that, but you can go back and read that on your own. But the win, WIN, came after everything. Okay, so let's talk about what is stopping you, right? So when y'all don't know, I got my little book, my little notebook. So when y'all see me look down, y'all know that's what this is, right? So when you figure out that it's you who is stopping you, and that's what we're focusing on today, because we're not looking at the outside. We're not looking at the distractions. We're not looking at what's stopping us on the outside, because there comes a point in time when the outside is no longer stopping us, because it has already done its job. And that job is to cause us to create a dam by the experiences that we've had. It's to cause us to create that beaver effect so that we can start stopping us. And when we figure that out, when we figure it out that it is us who is stopping us, it is then we can train for the win. Now, this is with my upcoming book called Train for the Win. And these are, some of the things that I'll be discussing. But up until then, everything you do is for nothing. It's for naught. Like, you can have all the goals you want to in the world. You can pursue everything. You can take classes. You can get a coach. You can create books and services, and you can do all of that. And then nothing, right? Nothing is happening. Why is nothing happening? That's because there's something that has stopped you in the implementation phase, right? Now, you can do all of that, but if you have the beaver effect going on, then all of that is going to be for nothing. Why? Because the beaver effect is in effect, meaning it is causing something. It's restricting the water, the streams of water, the rivers that the Lord has put in your way. It has stopped it. It is restricting the flow. So there's something restricting the flow from you getting that win. WIN. All right. So now you may yield some results, but you won't yield all of the results in its fullness. You'll get them trickle results to where it's all right, but it's not enough to move the mountains, right? So now you have to now there's some work that you have to do, okay? But the life-changing results that you need is not happening. There are some results, but they're not life-changing, right? And that's because of the dam that you've built, that you have put up. And that's why. So once you figure out where that dam comes from, then you can knock it down and all your plans will flow. So let's talk about the dam. Okay. Let's talk about that, right? Now, um, your dam is built from a stony heart. Now, before we get into that, let's talk about the beaver, right? So I researched beavers, and I researched the dams that they built, different things like that, and they are built from sticks and stones and debris, twigs, branches, and from mud, right? So the beaver's teeth have has is infused with iron. Ain't that crazy? So that they can chew through the wood and different things like that. And these beavers, they even if you knock them down, they can come back and rebuild it within hours. They are one of the only animals that can build ecosystems, right? All right, so keep that in mind, right? So with your dam is built from a stony heart based on pain, sticks of familiarity based on what you've experienced, and the mud of inadequacy, among other things, such as, let's talk about it: perfectionism, insecurity, disappointment, prior failures, procrastination, laziness, lack of faith, fear, doubt, fear of the unknown, fear of success, fear of an outcome, loss of zeal, loss of passion, grief, regular fear, doubt, uh, being comfortable, trauma, past wounds, pride, arrogance, like all of those things can be a part of, and also identity can be a part of your, though that mud, right? And when you think about mud, mud is heavy, it's sticky, and they use it to build. They can use mud to build things. Let that sink in for a minute, right? So all of those things work together to build a dam, and like beavers can build small or large dams, and based on the size of the dam that's built, it lets you know what kind of tools that you need. Will you just need a pitchfork or a rake, different things like that, or will you need like heavy machinery such as an excavator or a winch, right? So I even had to look up what winch, winch, what kind of machinery that is. And when I looked at it, and I was like, oh wow, I was like, okay, so you really got to dig and get up in there, right? So understand that what you allow to stop you is something that is built. And then you have to be careful when you knock it down. You can't do it all in one chunk. You can't do it all in one thing. Or do away with it, because as you research about a dam, if you do it too fast or all at once, it can cause flooding and erosion. So it can cause damages if you do it too fast. So they tell you to break it down from the top. You don't start at the bottom. You don't start at the middle. You start at the top of the dam, and you begin to break it down from there. And when you do that, the smaller debris and twigs and rocks that are, that the beaver used, that you used, you are the beaver, that you used to build this dam, those wash away. Those smaller parts wash away, loosening up things, or like the loosening up some of the twigs and the sticks and all that kind of stuff, loosening that up so it can, and they flow away. They flow away. So when we are face to face, when we come face to face and be mature about it, this part requires maturity. It requires you to get rid of your ego, your arrogance, and your pride. Okay? Um, you can't do this with none of that. You have to humble yourself and say, okay, these are the things that are stopping me. from the implementation stage. So let me ask you this. It's something that I do, want you to think about. Um, that I do want you to think about when it comes to recognizing and facing what has stopped you. So I will share like even a personal story of mine. Business wise, there were some things that I've been in business for a long time. And um, there were some things that happened that really disappointed me. I was in disappointment because here's the thing, I was doing what the Lord told me to do. He said, do this. He led me. I did that. And I was like, and I mean, everything that could have happened happened, right? And I became disappointed. I lost my zeal. I lost my passion. And I also recognized that I had perfectionism. And that's rooted in perfectionism is rooted in rejection. Because when you're rejected, that means that can if you don't take care of rejection when it happens, it can fester into inadequacy and perfectionism, and you try to perfect things. You spend a long time perfecting things, not understanding that it will never be perfect, but you wanted it to be perfect because you were rejected because you wasn't perfect. You wasn't perfect for that person. You wasn't perfect for that position. You wasn't you wasn't in a perfect position or a perfect standing. So you were rejected. You were told no. You were told that basically you were inadequate in this particular thing. So now you're like, you get caught up in perfectionism because if I can be perfect, if I can please them, if I can meet these requirements and these qualifications, then I'll be perfect for the job. I'll be perfect for this person. I'll be perfect for this and perfect for that. But when you are a perfectionist, you often run into falling short. And that's where I was. I was falling short. And the Lord was doing it on purpose because it was like there's a difference between perfectionism and excellence. And I had to learn that. I had to be okay with, you know what? If whatever's happened is going to happen, it's going to happen. But God, you show me how to get out in front of it. You show me how to handle it when it happens. And if it's not perfect, it is what it is. But it took a long time for me to get there. Am I doing it how God told me to do it? Yes, then that's all there is to it. I don't have to meet your qualifications, your box of adequacy, right? Like I don't have to fit that. Do I have to do things right? Yes. Do I have to do things in excellent? Yes. However, things are not perfect. Things go wrong, and you know what? It is what it is. It don't seem like, for some people it don't seem like things go wrong, but that's just because they don't put it out there. So everything looks perfect for everybody else. It all came together, it all went smooth. Like that's what it looks like from the outside. That's because the people that are holding it, they come out with this facade like, oh, all this was perfect. It just came together, da da da, blah, scoop, scoop. No, I guarantee you that you had some problems. And like, but people don't talk about that because it's this whole facade thing, but that's something else. So when you start looking at, when I started to look at what was stopping me, I it was like everything was being taken from me, right? Money was being taken from me. Anything that I needed to put on an event was taken from me. Um, One time I had the money, but then I had to give back the money because of something else that had popped off. So I couldn't even, like, that was crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the enemy just had his way with just stopping all of this. And then, I was like, okay, well, Lord, I hadn't, I used to do writers retreats for years, you know, and but COVID stopped it for a couple of years. And then when I started to try to re-implement it, it just was not happening, right? I had health issues. Everything that could stop it stopped it, right? And so I was like, okay, God, I love doing these writers retreats. I want to do one, like, but I can't keep having what's happening to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't do it. And so I was like, okay, God, what is it that I'm doing wrong? What is it that I need to change up? What is it, like, what is it, right? What's stopping me? Because at some point I just stopped doing a lot of stuff. I said, you know what, enough is enough. I done it all. I done followed directions. I'm good, bruh. Like, that's kind of like where I was. I said, I'm good. So what set in? Disappointment. I lost my zeal. I lost my passion. Um, at some point, I was feeling inadequate. Um, I had pain. I had pain. I had experiences. I had all of that going on. And I was just like, I'm done. Like, I mean, I'm going to still do what I do, but I'm going to just do what I do for me and call it. But that's not what God called me to do. And then I also came to understand I procrastinate. But then I was just like, it's something in me, like, I putting it together, planning it, it was all good. Like, I could do that. I could do that part, right? And then when it's time to implement, stuff start popping off to remind me of what was familiar. Remember what I said? The sticks of familiarity, right? Based on and what is familiar is based on what I had experienced. So now this stuff start looking like what used to happen is happening, and I was just like, I'm good on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good on that. So with the procrastination, I was like, okay. I was like, I know that I want to do this. Like, this has never been me. Like, I'll go ahead and I'll do it. So what's been happening? And then when I started understanding the intricate details of procrastination, I was like, oh, okay. So that makes sense, because I'm not that person where I just don't do anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's never been me. I've always been a outgoing, independent person. Hey, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm about me being in my own lane. I ain't trying to be in yours. I ain't trying to be in yours. Hey, I'm good. Hey, I know what I do. I'm good at what I do, right? So, just even having the fear of success, because the fear of success also came with a lot of you see people who are successful and what happens to them, what happens to them in their private lives, and you start seeing a whole bunch of issues, and I'm like, I don't want all that. I don't want that either. So I was building throughout the years. I began building a dam. Okay, the Beaver Effect. I began building a dam. So the more sticks that I put in, the more twigs and branches that I kept cutting, kept using, and using mud and these little rocks and all of these sticks and stones and things, like using them to build this dam. Over the years, it began to become huge. And the Lord says, out of your belly shall flow rivers of living water. He also said that I will put streams of water and rivers, in your wilderness, and it will flow, all of that kind of stuff. So, and I'm like, well, Lord, hold up, because this brook looks a little dry. And then, as I was studying, the Lord was showing me Elijah, but he took it in a different route than what people normally take it when it starts talking about Elijah and the brook, right? They People usually tend to say, because in the word it says the brook is dried up, the raven is no longer feeding him, so it's time for you to move, Elijah. But the Lord is saying now, he's saying the brook isn't dried up because it's time for you to move. The brook isn't dried up because there is no more water. No, the brook is dried up because there's a dam that you have placed there. The Beaver Effect. You have built a dam, and you have stopped the water from flowing. So, is this you? I want you to, like, I'm hope I'm getting through to you, because I don't want you to focus so much on the outward things that's stopping you. I want you to focus on the inward things that's stopping you. You have to come to terms with what's happening, right? And so when Esther was faced with, when she realized, okay, fear is stopping me, the law stopping me, I ain't trying to lose my life behind this, like, none of that, none of that. Like, I know what happened to my people back then. It's always something happening to my people. And even when you start thinking about Esther and the children of Israel and her people, she knows the history. Shoot, her parents were gone. She was raised by her uncle. Okay. So she's not new to loss, death, trauma, grief. She's not new to that. She was well aware of what that was, right? And her her culture had a history of that. So she is well aware of what that meant. She is well aware of, okay, this is a kind of a repeat of what we got going on. I remember Pharaoh, Moses, like I I remember all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like how they was delivered and da 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 da. You know, so she is not new to that. She was not new to that. So she understood it wasn't just fear, but it was past. You know what I'm saying? It was her culture's past that prevented her too. Now, when she realized what she needed to do to get over this hump, because she couldn't let what her past, she couldn't let her past stop her. She couldn't let the law stop her. She couldn't let her possible death stop her. She couldn't let fear stop her. She couldn't let grief stop her. She couldn't let loss stop her. She couldn't let the lack of the fear of the unknown or the fear of the outcome to stop her. She couldn't allow any of that to stop her, because now she got to do something. She got to move. If she is to see the good of the land, if she is to receive the win, like she was, like I said, she was queening already. But there was something still lured over her, because remember, within this story, she still had not yet revealed who her people were. Like how some people get bougie. You know what I'm saying? Like they get bougie, they get to a certain level and they forget where they come from, and they don't want their parents to know. They don't want people to know who their parents are, who their siblings are. Like they like, nah, cause they're not good enough. They're not adequate enough to be at the place that I'm at. And plus they too hood, they too ghetto, or they too trailer park, or they, you know what I'm saying? Like they too that they ain't at my level. So with that thought process, um, I'm not telling people where I come from. I'm not telling them where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? So, um, but Esther had not revealed yet who her people were. Let that sink in. Okay. So when she began to see that there was something that she had to do, Esther fasted and declared one before she made a move, or when she decided to not let fear hold her back. Once we recognize what our dam is constructed of, it is time to fast and to confront it, so we can be freed from the decree that our flesh proclaimed in our lives. That is when the win, WIN, comes, and the prospering after that, right? So why do we build the dams? Okay, we build them for protection without realizing it would become a barrier to our progress. I'm sorry, that R looked like an N, y'all. But I just had to kind of look at my writing a little bit. So we built them for protection without realizing it will become a barrier to our progress. See, we built these dams to protect ourselves, right? We got to protect ourselves from all of this stuff. And when we protect ourselves, we build dams. We have this Beaver Effect, and it's not lost on any of us. It's not lost on any of us, because we all do it at some point in time in our lives. We build these dams to protect ourselves, right? But then we also don't realize that it becomes a barrier to our progress. So now we got to go back and dig up these dams, right? And so when does it show up? When is the dam revealed? It shows up at implementation time. It shows up when it's time to do something. It shows up when it's time to move, right? Why? Because the implementation requires exposure. It's gonna open up. It's gonna open up. It's gonna show up. Show light on the good and on the bad, right? What does it expose? It exposes risk, action, vulnerability, faith, and discipline. And because when the implementation stage shows up, where this is a stage where you got to do action, it's time to move. That dam starts causing the water to back up. Why? Because now the dam starts asking, what if the same thing happens like last time? What if Murphy Law happens? Whatever happens will happen, right? I don't have the money. How will I make this work? I don't know enough people. My past mistakes outweighs what I'm doing now, and nobody will let me live it down. It'll ask you, okay, well, people, it may even ask you, people, what if people don't support it? What if I fail? What if I mess up? And so, like, all of these what if questions, well, all of these questions pop up, and we don't combat the questions with decrees, with the word, with a declaration that it don't matter. God got it. And you can answer all of that with God got it. God got it. I follow the Lord. I'm obedient to his instructions, and whatever he say he gonna do, he gonna do. And that's how we just gotta move. Sometimes it's not a deep revelation. Sometimes it's something simple, and you just gotta say what it is and do what it is. Period. It don't take all that, right? So removing the dam, let's talk about that. We must strategically remove it. We got to start from the top, not the bottom, and this is what I was talking about before, right? We got to stop at the top, not the bottom or the middle. Okay, and so when we do that, it's about the tools that we have to use based on the size of the dam. Like if you have one thing, one or two things, one, two, or three things or whatever, your dam is not going to be that big, right? But what if you have like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things that you're facing that you built the dam with? Okay, well now you're going to need some heavy machinery because now it's time to get to work. All right. So what are those tools? Those tools, on some tools, you may just need prayer. Some tools you may need prayer and fasting. Some tools you just may need the word of God. Some tools you just may need faith, right? Some tools you just may need action. Or you may need deliverance, prayer, fasting, action, word of God, counseling, accountability. You may need all of that. All of that. You know what I'm saying? Because it may be maybe something traumatic that's happened. Because when you lose, let's talk about when you lose your fear, when you lose your passion and your zeal. When you lose that, it's hard to get back. It's hard to find the excitement again, right? It's really difficult to find that. So what do you need these tools because something is stopping that passion, something is stopping that zeal that you had. So okay, let's deal with that. That has to be dealt with in order for the river to flow again, those streams to flow freely again, right? So understand that you have to understand the tools that you need in order to get rid of this dam that you built, but you also have to be honest with the dam that you built. All right. Now, when you begin to deconstructing this dam from the top, small streams of water is going to begin to flow, and it's going to, like I said, it's going to and erupt and loosen up the mud and the twigs and the debris and the smaller twigs, the smaller rocks. It's just gonna flow away. You can't take on a dam all at once and get rid of it. You will be in a worse state than you were before. Understand, if you take let me show you what I saw when the Lord was showing me this, right? So let's just take one, right? Fear. Let's just take fear, because that is synonymous across all of us, right? We faced it at one point in time or another, whether we want to admit to it or not. But let's just talk about fear, right? So let's use an example. You have a product or a service, right? Um, and so now you have to put it out there. But remember, you put it out there before. So the fear is that one that we're working on. It's the one thing. We're starting from the top, and we got to conquer that top. And we're talking about, like I was saying before, we are talking about, um, you know, you put that, you have that product or service that you're putting out there, and you've done this before, but it didn't go nowhere. You did, you didn't get the support. People weren't liking, people weren't sharing, people weren't doing all sorts of things, right? Cool. So you're reluctant to do it again. But in order for people to know about it, you have to do it again. So what do you do? Well, one of the first things you do is go research some of those people who um, you can see that they're doing well in it, and they're teaching like on YouTube or something about, how to post and how to get the likes, and understanding the algorithm, understanding how many times you're supposed, and when you should post, and all that other kind of stuff, um, and how to do that. That way, at the end of the day, you're doing what needs to be done for it to be exposed. But also understanding, start listening to other YouTube videos to say, okay, hey, mental mental videos, and they're saying, don't worry about who's not there, who don't support. You're going to eventually understand the word eventually, not suddenly, eventually people will begin to catch on. Your people, because you're speaking their language, the lingo. Also understand, do you know their language? Do you know your audience's language, their lingo, how they conversate, those different things like that, and being your authentic self as well. So you do those things, and also you trust God with it. Just trust Him with it. Like, seriously, just let it go. Just trust Him, and that's what I've been doing. I've been doing it for a while, to where, you know what, whether people like it or not, been doing it. So like, um, there's different platforms that I use, and I'm noticing, I'm like, oh, this platform I ain't been really looking at, but this platform is really picking up, doing some stuff. Okay, bet that. Hey, God, you do it. You know what I'm saying? So, that's what I've been doing, but I just been posting, right? And so, but there's some things that I need to do more when it comes to my products and services, and I haven't been doing that. So I said, okay, well, let me do that. Let me conquer this. Let me be disciplined and consistent in this. Let me not fear this. Let me go ahead and do this. And so that's what I was doing. And when I did that, when I said, okay, let me do this. And I'm telling you guys, just starting this off as an example, start just posting, right? Posting every day, putting it out there, and letting people see what's what. You know what I'm saying? See what you got going on, girl. See what you got going on, homie. You know what I'm saying? Like, let them know what you got going on. Period, point blank. And the people who are supposed to hear you will hear you. Like the Bible says, I'm just going to use a scripture in this context. But I say, um, what's that one scripture where it says, my sheep know my voice, and the voice of a stranger they will not follow. God has given certain people ears for us, right? And he will die based on what we say and what we do and the products that we have and the services that we have. It will call out to them. It will call out to them. It'll be a bullhorn. It's just going to take time. And you have to understand time. So you mentally prepare yourself, right? And you do those things and you conquer that one first. And as you conquer that and you start, what used to be a disappointment is now a testimony, because now you're starting to see it work. You're starting to see it flow. And that's what I was starting to see. I was like, okay, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to let it do what it do, right? Right. So that's all I'm saying is take it one step at a time. And when you take that one step, then that helps build on the win. WIN. You're looking to win. You want to win, but you got to get rid of the Beaver Effect for you to get that win. So as you're removing the debris, as you're moving the branches and the sticks and the stones and the rocks and the mud and all of that, do it slowly, one at a time, and you'll start noticing the river flowing. And what once was a disappointment will now be your testimony.